All right. Woo! Good morning, everybody. That's not me. This is me, but I am here with the truly incredible Julie Brown. And we've already been making jokes on the side that because, her mom slept around, that we're like sisters from another mister. And we share a lot of passion behind this topic that we're going to focus in on today, which is how to network your way to increase influence and success. And Julie Brown is also the author and podcast host of This Shit Works. And I brought her on because she doesn't mess around. She's already done her run for this morning, done a Peloton cool down, has her water ready. And Julie, thank you so much for being here. Any other intros that you want to provide to yourself and kick this off?
No, just don't call me Downtown Julie Brown. I hate
it. Okay, good to know. Good to know. We won't do that. Don't anybody else do that in the comments either. So, Julie, give us the skinny on why this shit works.
Okay. In one sentence, the people you meet will change your life, and networking is how you meet those people. Plain and simple.
Okay. Plain and simple. So if you are somebody who is in a business, wants to expand their business, is looking for work, a job, a career change, looking to be an influencer, whatever that means, networking is the secret sauce.
Yeah, no one goes it alone. No one succeeds alone, no matter what you're told. No one succeeds alone. No one at the top of their game has gotten there by themselves. It's so much work to be successful, and we all know this. Being really, really good at what you do, being talented at what you do is a barrier to entry. Like, think about it. All of the people who graduated with you, who do the same thing as you, they are talented. You are talented. It is a barrier to entry. What is going to set you apart is the relationships you build and having people in your network who are invested in your success.
So what you just said, the secret is that you're not going to be a lone rider, right? You're not like thinking that you can do that without the love, support, help, connections of other people is a fallacy. It doesn't work. So here I am. Let's just pretend I'm at square one. I'm starting a business. I'm doing something. I have no connections. Where do I start? Where do I begin?
Has no connections. No one has no connections.
Okay, there you go.
So if you want to think about, everybody says, how do I build a network? And I say, you already have one. You start with one. No matter what kind of family you came out of, no matter what sort of where you went to college, you have a built-in network of whatever you call family, who is your family, whether it's your real family or your family that you chose, your friends, people you have worked with prior to. Doesn't matter what kind of job that was. Were you a waitress at 16 years old, or whether it was an internship you had in college? You already have a network. So think about, okay, who are all the people I know? Who are my friends, my family, my friends of family, people I have ever worked with, maybe coaches I had growing up? That is already your network. So you already have a network. Then think about who in that list could make strategic introductions for me to other people. That's a really great way of building your network. There's this thing in social network theory called triadic closure. And triadic closure means if you are introduced to somebody you don't know by a mutual friend, your relationship will grow at a greater rate. That is sort of like the friends of my friends or my friends thing. So a really good way to strategically grow your network is to reach out to people you already know and say, I'm actively trying to grow my network. Who in your network would be a good person for me to connect with and talk to? That's one way to do it. The second thing would be, okay, whatever your business is, whatever you're going into business for yourself, think about, okay, who are the people who are all also involved in this industry? How can I begin networking with them? what organizations are available to me that I can join and become involved in, and start building a network that way. There's so many ways to build a network. And I'm not going to say it's easy because it does take work, but for me, it's super fun to constantly be meeting people who are like so cool and do what I do, tangentially related to what I do. Like that for me is a ton of fun.
So I think you capitalized on a really important word, build,
Yes.
right? Build. This isn't Rome in a day or anything like that. What are the stages to building your network? Because if I wanted to build a relationship with somebody that I admire,
Yeah.
Chris Doe or Simon Sinek, how do I actually build to get to build a network around that?
Well, there's a couple of things. Like one is also to think about the need to work on your social proof. And that just means if somebody says, "Do you know Julie Brown?" and they say no, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to Google me. So what do I look like online? What have I contributed as far as my expertise online? So if you Google Julie Brown networking Boston, you'll see my website, my LinkedIn, my book, speaking engagements, podcasts that I've been on. Like that sort of level of social proof adds a lot to your networking journey. So I don't want to just say this is just about networking, because we do have to be good at what we do. All things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. But all things need to be equal. You have to be good at your job and you have to have that social proof. So that's one part of it. And the second part of it is just building relationships with honesty and integrity. Don't go into relationships thinking, I need something, I need this, I need that. It has to be a symbiotic relationship. It has to be, what can I give? What can I give to this other person's network? What can I do to be of service to them? And then how would that person repay the favor to me? Like, how can we do this for each other? Because the best networks are the ones that are constantly thinking, how can I help the other people in my network? In my book, I talk about the importance of this thing called the top 5 in your network. And we've all heard this. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So in your top 5 in your network, like, think about it. Like, who in my business and in my network do I spend the most time with? And are those people invested in my success? Do they challenge my thinking? Or is it just homogenous thinking where no one's ever like pushing the boundaries of what we should be doing? And also for the people who are married or booed up or anything like that, but Warren Buffett released an article a few years ago that said the most successful people in the world have one thing in common, and that one thing is a spouse or a life partner who is invested in their success. And this happens a lot with people where one person's career takes priority over another. That can't happen. Your person that you choose to spend your life with has to be in your top 5. It has to help you succeed. It can't be like one person is more important than the other. So that boo is in your top 5, and the other 4, who are they? Are they challenging you? Are they pushing you to be better? This Julie Brown does not exist without the active pushing of my top 5. Like the reason I have a podcast, the reason I have a YouTube series, like not the reason I wrote the book. I always wanted to write the book, but like when I wanted to go out on my own almost 6 years ago, I went to my top 5 and I was like, I want to do this. Tell me if this is a good idea. Like that is the power of top 5. The rest of your network, super important. They all have a role in being part of your network. But I want you to think about a top 5 for yourself, because that's the core nucleus that's really going to push you.
Awesome. And what we were talking about before we went live was, and put down the scorecard,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Put down the scorecard. Can you explain in your top 5 the other 5 pieces that we were talking about before the show?
Yeah. So, I mean, your network is built up of your top 5 and then this circle of 15, next closest, and then a robust 50 connections and then 100 connections. This is based off of Dunbar's number. Robert Dunbar was an evolutionary psychologist and anthropologist, and the work he did with non-human primates, in that work, he concluded that there's a limit to the stable number of relationships we can maintain. And in non-human primates, that number is 50. it's directly correlated to the size of the neocortex in your brain. Now, we as humans, we have much larger neocortexes. So his number, now this was research was done in 1992. His work said, okay, the number of stable relationships we can maintain as humans is 150. And now, because of where we are with CRM databases and iPhones and Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and all of the ways we have to connect that we didn't have in 1992, I say 150 is the minimum number of relationships that you should have to build out your network. Now, about building relationships. So everybody wants to know, when can I ask my network for a referral? When can I ask my network to buy my product? When can I ask my network to hire me for this specific job, depending on what you do? The science behind this is that it takes people, on average, 5 interactions with you before they will decide whether they would work with you or refer you. Now, this is whether they are going to decide. That doesn't mean they are ready to work. They have something for you. They have a job for you, or they have a referral for you. That's just when they decide that, okay, this is a person I know, like, and trust. I would work with this person. I would refer this person. So getting into that 5 interactions, what you have to do in those 5 interactions is do those interactions as if you're building a relationship, as not like you're going to the finish line of something. So you can't bully someone into working with you. You can't rush those 5 interactions. Like, let's have coffee 5 times this week. It doesn't work. Think about what are the ways that over these 5 interactions, I can show value to this person. I can show that I have gotten to know them and I'm interested in them and I'm building this relationship with honesty and integrity, so that after that 5th interaction, that person has gotten to the know, likes, trust stage with me and believes that I am the person that they would work with.
Totally. So 5 interactions, right? Of course, they don't have to be the same, right? You don't have to have 5 coffees. You could have a coffee, an email exchange, some other social interaction here, there, and everywhere. And I actually would add to this, mix them up, right?
Oh, don't do the same thing. Like, go to coffee, play golf, take them to a game, have lunch, send them an article, send them a book on Amazon. Oh my God, I saw this book and I thought of whatever you mentioned. Send them an article. If they're like into like traveling, send them a travel magazine or a travel book or like anything. These are very small things that make a huge impact. The devil's in the details. Like, these small things that you do are things that other people don't take the time to do. Just like handwritten thank you notes. Like, when someone spends time with me, any person who comes on my podcast gets a handwritten thank you note from me. They gave of their time to help me build my brand. Like, little things like a handwritten thank you note. You know what happens? Most people send an email. What do people do with emails? Delete. What do people do with handwritten thank you cards? They put them on their desks and they stare at them for at least 2 weeks before they throw them out. Like, extending the impact of your connections with that person is what's important.
Awesome. And the semi-permanency. I mean, you may not keep a thank you note forever, but I would offer that you would not forget it, because to your point, there are so few that you're receiving, right?
I get a lot of them now, because every time I say this, somebody sends me a thank you card, and I love it. And like, I think your thank you cards should, like, and don't just like get any generic thank you card. Get one that really looks like you and feels like you. Like, I have thank you cards that say badass on them. I have thank you cards.
Of course you do.
I'm
looking for my I actually made some too that I send out as well. Sorry for the noise, guys, but I do it because somebody's having a bad day, Yeah. And this is one of my branded ones. Somebody's having a bad day and I could just like send them something on the fly. I'm also a little neurotic about sending them with commemorative stamps.
Me too. So I was just going to say, the second thing is take it a step further. Like, people who know me know I love hip hop. So like, I get the hip hop stamps and put the hip hop stamps on. Everybody who knows me knows I have 2 rescue dogs. So like, you're either getting like a hip hop stamp or you're getting a dog on the stamp. Like, just little things that make that personalize who you are. So when that person sees you, they have these little personal things that they know about you, because this is what people remember. This is what builds relationships inside of somebody, is when they know these little things about you.
Oh, awesome. So, okay, great. Now we have, I'm going to say, like, now you have your 150 people to start with. How in this God's green earth do you juggle, manage, cultivate, build, connect? How do you maintain all of this so that you're not getting, an ice cream headache every day of your life?
Yeah. So first, everybody should have some level of a database that they can keep all of their contacts. And HubSpot's got a free version, like Pipedrive's like 15 bucks a month, and like Insightly has a free version. Like, get yourself a database so that you are putting in all of your contacts. And what that does for you is it's interactive. So all of your emails that you send to that person will end up in your database. So you can actually go, but you'll be like, when was the last time I sent an email to so-and-so? Well, you just look up so-and-so's name and it shows you, and you're like, oh goodness, it's been 5 months. I better send an email to say I was thinking about them, because you were. Those are the 5 words that'll reconnect you with anybody. I was thinking about you. Like, that's it. People say to me, well, I haven't talked to so-and-so in so long. Like, I feel like it'll be weird if I reach out. What's weird is not reaching out. What's weird is continuing this chasm of space between you and this other person that you want to have this relationship with. So I've been thinking about you is a great way. Like, if you look at your database right now, or you scroll through your phone, and you're like, I haven't talked to that person since before COVID. What you say is, you reach out and you say, I've been thinking about you. What, a year and a half? How are you doing? How have you fared? Like, just do that to reconnect. Okay. So that was the sidebar. So you should have a database with which you can keep track of your interactions. Now, each relationship, some relationships, they need to be tended to on a more sort of cyclical basis than other relationships. We all have those people in our lives where we can go 8 months without talking to them, and we pick up the phone and it's like, it's been 8 minutes. Like, so you have to think about, like, who are the people that I need to really work on these relationships, because they're not at that point yet. They're not at the point where they can go 8 months and that person can be like okay with it. So Jeff just put, people remember how you made them feel. That is exactly correct. And when you reach out to someone and say, I've been thinking about you. I heard this song and it made me think of you. I was going through pictures on my phone and I found this picture of me and you. I just found this old email from you. Like, remember when we did this? Like, that, putting someone else in your thoughts, that makes them feel special.
Yes. And so now you have this database, and if you are getting one, I know that Brendan was talking about, he loves HubSpot, to be able to have these automated, signals that say, oh, it's been a while. It's been like 3 months since I reconnected with so-and-so and so-and-so.
Yeah.
So, this stuff isn't rocket science.
No.
It's very practical.
What
and it also needs to be practiced.
What else I do? Yeah. So thinking of the practice thing, I keep a business development checklist by my desk. And so prior to COVID, it was, how many new connections have I made? How many events have I gone to, and who did I meet? And then it was, how 3 people from my network to reconnect with. So every week I was going through my network and choosing 3 people to just say that, hey, I was thinking about you, email. And then there was a list for thank you cards. So I knew every week I was meeting someone new, I was going to events, I was reconnecting with 3 people, and I was sending thank you cards. And so I keep that checklist by my desk. Now, because of COVID, I don't like go to events. Like, I have Zoom events, but that checklist still lives there for the other things that are super important.
Awesome. And so now I'm going to ask you the $1 million question. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
$1 million question, right? What do you say to someone that says, thanks, Julie, but I hate networking? Or, Julie, I'm an introvert and I'm just not into it.
Okay, so the first thing, so introvert, extrovert, like, I hate this pitting against each other of introvert, extrovert. Introvert does not mean you're bad at networking or building relationships, and extrovert does not mean you're really good at it. It just means where you're getting your energy from. So there's no really like 100% extrovert and 100% introvert. We all 4 just sort of fall on this ambivert spectrum. And so that's more about, where do I get my energy from? I tend toward the extrovert part of the spectrum. So when I go to events, I get jazzed by other people's energy. That fills my battery. Somebody who tends towards the introvert part of the spectrum, they have to go into those events with a full battery because that battery is going to be depleted by the interactions within that event. Second thing is, introverts are so much better at networking than extroverts because they're couple of reasons. They're more well prepared because they're nervous about going in. So they're more well prepared as far as like, what could I talk about? Who might be there? They're prepared with I do this thing in the book called the list yourself approach, which helps you make this list of dopamine inducing conversations. They do that in advance, where people like me, like I can literally walk into a room and talk to a chair for 15 minutes. Like, so
I gotta see that.
less prepared. So like introverts are so much better because they're more prepared. And guess what? They listen more. And listening is the key to building relationships. Getting the other person talking and you listening and absorbing that and saying, how can I reconnect with this person? I can use this bit of data that they just said to send an email tomorrow. Because listen, 80% of building and maintaining relationships is just following up. And you know what? People suck at following up because they think it's the other person's job. So you go to an event, you have this beautiful relationship, dopamine inducing conversation with somebody, you want to build a relationship with them. And then you know what you do? You wait for them to send an email to say how great it was to meet you. It's your job to say how great it was to meet them. If you take on follow-up after every networking event as your job, you will blow away the competition because most people don't think it's their job. I'm going to say it again. 80% of building and maintaining relationships is just following up and following up over and over and over again.
And so, would you please share what your also pithy answer to I hate networking is?
Tough titties.
Tough titties.
Like, tough. Think about all the things we have to do in our lives that make us better. And we do them because we know that in the end, they better us. I got up this morning and I did a boot camp on the treadmill, and then I worked out on the mat, and then I did the Peloton. I came out a hot mess, okay? Did I love every minute of it? No. Does it make me a better person? Yes. Okay? Tough titties. Networking, the more you do it, like anything else, like any other muscle, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, the easier it's going to be because your network is going to be bigger and your network's going to help you do it. That top 5 is going to kick in and help you be more successful. You just have to start, like everything. You just have, when you're a runner, when I was marathon running, I just had to put my sneakers on. When I want to do yoga, which I never want to do, I just have to roll out the mat. You just have to put yourself in that situation and you get better and better and better at it.
Awesome. So we're coming to the end of our blast and a half. What other blasts do you want to share, Julie? Not that you haven't blasted us with some amazing things already. Any mistakes that are warning signs, anything that people should avoid in addition to these awesome tips for things to do?
So avoid networking out of a space of need. So a lot of times, I'm a consultant, a lot of times firms come to me when they feel like their sales have flatlined or like they haven't been getting leads and whatever. And they come to me and think I'm going to be this like magic bullet that suddenly their leads are going to jump up. Like, don't look at networking from a space of need. Because once you're doing it from a space of need, you're not doing it with integrity. You're not doing it in this symbiotic relationship. How can I help? How can they help me? It's really hard to network authentically from a place of need because you don't have a pipeline of work or like you haven't made your sales. So that's the first thing is don't go at networking from a place of need because people will smell that a mile away. You cannot bully people into buying your product or working with you. It is okay, especially it's okay in business to have good times and bad times. It's cyclical. It's like nature. It happens. So networking works. It works all day long. And so my thing is do it as something that becomes part of who you are. Building these relationships as part of who you are, not as something you must do or you have to do because you haven't made your numbers. Like, have it be part of who you are.
And have it be embedded in your life, right? It's just
where you go. I'm networking at the grocery store. I'm networking on the ski lift. Like, you never know who you're going to meet. I said it. The people you meet will change your life. And unless you start talking to people, you won't meet them.
Right. People aren't going to hunt you down. And the other thing is, when you are networking, any best practices in terms of, how to leave that conversation so that you are setting up interest, setting up some kind of expectation, like, hey, I'll call you next week. What should somebody do when they're leaving an event or whatever?
I would say, like, I have in my book, I talk a lot about like how to go to an event, how to have the list yourself approach, these dopamine inducing questions, which lead to someone saying, what do you do? You're so interesting. What do you do? I'd love to work with you. Like, that's, you got him. Okay. So what I want you to do is think about, how can I have a strategy for follow-up? How can I go into an event? All right. You're not going to build a network in one event. You're not going to build a network in one event. So be gentle with yourself and say, I'm going to go into this event. I'm going to meet 2 people. I'm going to have a dopamine inducing conversation, a human centric conversation that I can easily follow up with that person. And then after you've had that conversation with them, just say, it was so great meeting you. Like, I want to follow up with you. How can I get in touch with you? LinkedIn, email, like whatever. If you've had this great conversation, it's going to be easy to get their information. And then again, your job, 80% of building, maintaining relationships is following up. Make sure that you follow up the next day. So when you're in a dopamine inducing conversation, you love that person, you want to learn more about them. All you have to do is say, I want to learn more about you. You're fantastic. I don't even know if there's a way for us to work together, but let's figure that out. Do you have time for coffee next week? Or I'll send you an email tomorrow to set up time for coffee or lunch or whatever. Like, make sure you're doing an action item that action item advances your relationship.
Love that, right? Because how many of us leave someplace and then it's like, okay, been there, done that. Mm-hmm. And the opportunity there is to set up a cadence.
Yeah.
You mentioned 24 hours, right? I leave this event the next day, or, maybe that night, I have identified some of those people that I want to continue to build relationships with, and have that as an item on your next day list.
Yeah.
So please, everyone, get on Julie's podcast. Listen to her episodes, filled with amazing tips. I love how we also talked a little bit about some of the upcoming guests that you have on your podcast that speak to areas like how your sleep impacts your networking and your business life, how your relationships with your partner and your sexual life impact how you show up in the world. Yeah. Even if you are, dealing with any kind of physical ailment or insecurity that you may feel like, I'm having a bad hair day and I don't really want to go network right now. Whatever those things are, they all matter. And so they're not going to go away on their own, and they're also not an excuse to avoid the networking.
Right.
And so This Shit Works, the name of Julie's podcast and book. Yay! Oh yeah, make it vertical, because we got to do that.
Okay. On the camera. Okay, there we
go. Yes. And contact Julie for business development opportunities. This woman is a wizard, and mover and shaker. Anything else that you want to share with the LinkedIn audience in the next 60 seconds, Julie?
I would just say, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I teach in my book and in my workshops that you have to connect with purpose. You have to know why you want that. You have to tell that other person why you want to connect with them. So if you saw me here, please send me, click me on LinkedIn, but say, hey, I saw you on Lauren's on her LinkedIn Live. Like, just let me know where you saw me, because I get so many requests a day that if I don't know who they are, I don't accept them, because I'm very at 150 minimum, and I'm building those relationships. I'm very conscious of who I'm building relationships with, because I want LinkedIn to be a visual representation, an online representation of my real network.
Fantastic. So you are curating. And I think that that's super important for all of us. It's not 150 people here, there, and everywhere. There's a reason for each one of them to be there, so that you can best provide what you do to them, for them, and the same in return.
Right.
Julie Brown. And I won't say downtown Julie Brown. I'll say uptown Julie Brown, because you are everything uptown. And thank you so much for being here today, making it happen, and sharing all of these incredible tips about how networking is really the secret sauce to getting ahead in business and also in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and talk soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.